Welcome to the final episode of this special series, a series that looks back over the last 2 years since the murder of George Floyd in May of 2020 and how it subsequently brought about change around the world. In the last episode, we took a look at the progress made so far within the UK finance sector, a sector that came under great scrutiny for its inequality, discrimination and lack of representation for ethnic minorities. However, improving statistics and new initiatives show definite signs of progress, which is massively encouraging. But there is still a long way to go. In this episode, I'm once again joined by Michael Barrington Hibbert. Michael, a lot of progress has already been made, and it's particularly clear that the framework is shifting and at that sort of boardroom level. But how do we build momentum so that it spreads across the whole ecosystem throughout not just financial services, but businesses and to society as a whole?
Society as a whole, Roger. And I think one of the things I really want to stress here is that the people working within diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging, it can't just sit with them. It can't just sit with the Chief Diversity Officer. It needs to be driven from the top. It needs to be your responsibility, the production crew's responsibility, in order for it to be normalised and drive the economy and society forward to be representative for all. This is not just about black, as I mentioned, or ethnic minorities. It's about equality for all across all diversity dimensions. This is what we have to do, is be able to contextualise each group in order to be able to enrich what we do from a societal standpoint. So there's a lot more that we certainly can do.
And that requires a lot of, there's a lot of different facets there, a lot of conversations. Is this all about within the businesses themselves? It's got to be a trickle down to sort of the lower echelons, as it were, but everyone's got to be talking about it, everyone's got to be engaging. Managers, do they have to engage more proactively with their teams to learn from their teams so that the members, the diversity members within their teams, they can learn from them too?
Excellent. Look, Roger, this is where context is super important, okay? What I've read about transformational leaders like Jamie Dimon and et al., others, is about providing resource to people within their organisation to be successful. And resource doesn't mean investment from a capital standpoint. It's being able to drive a culture where people are in a scenario where they will be supportive. It's really a case of being able to provide executives, middle managers around resource, the space to listen, to learn, and to be supportive. So I think it's very much a case of not necessarily middle managers having to sort of proactively and go out and have conversations, because some of them just don't know what to say. You'll go up to the only black person in your office and say, how's it being black? What can I do? And again, some people have done that over the last 2 years, but they also need to be given the support. Because sometimes, Roger, doing nothing around this particular space has enabled people to continue on their careers. If in financial services, you're not a risk taker, if you sit within operations or an infrastructure role where it's predominantly processed, for you to step out of your comfort zone on the subject that is still taboo, what are the ramifications? So this really talks about cultural transformation, support, and also being able to provide different groups of different businesses the right resources. Let me give you an example. The culture around sales and trading from a diversity standpoint is going to be very different to that of operations, finance, technology. Historical trends have indicated that ethnic minorities have a higher proportionate representation in support level roles. So one of the things we talk about is action. One of the things that we think is really important is that organizations don't have the solution themselves. So go out to partners that can help you. Go out to partners who have got experience, lived experiences of working in these verticals and can actually give the learning and development for trading, for sales that is required, and not providing a generic leadership and development training program for all groups. Because again, intersectionality and understanding is fundamentally key to be able to change the dial.
And within that, it sounds like one of the most important things here is is awareness. You say awareness within an organisation. We talked about it in one of the previous episodes, awareness of opportunities that ethnic minorities may have that they're unaware of. How is awareness being approached? How do we build momentum of awareness so that people don't fear the process, don't fear that they will be discriminated against, and actually think that actually this is an opportunity for them?
What we have seen, some organisations, they are financially penalising leaders, middle management for not making the goals of the organisation from a hiring and retention standpoint. And where that's worked, you look at the carrot and the stick mentality. Where it's been successful, organisations live and breathe the culture. I was with a US bank, and I won't mention their name, yesterday, and they were talking to me about the importance of diversity, and it was authentic. Because when I walked on the trading floor, you had every race, every nationality. They bet on this 30 to 40 years ago, and they're winning, okay? It's a platform that you've worked with before, okay? They hire from all different demographics because what they need, Roger, they don't want people from a set group given the same ideas. They welcome and embrace challenge. So it goes around culture. You can't have a financial incentive if the culture isn't right for someone to speak out, so someone to get something wrong. We need to live in an environment from a work standpoint that we learn from those mistakes, but we need to make sure people are being rewarded, but also supported in order for it to be permeated through the organisation. So it starts with cultural transformation. And one of the things that we've been advising clients, hiring and recruitment is not the be all and end all. It's about having a sense of belonging. It's having a sense of actually being seen and actually investing in all staff and recognising that we're all different. We're all different, but we've got many similarities. You and I have many similarities. We also have our differences, and it's important to recognise that and be reflective of our employees in the workplace to be able to push that forward.
And so just to bring this back to the UK, and you talked there about how many US companies are ahead of this game. They've been doing this. For the UK financial services and for the UK corporate world as a whole, what do you think are the things that will build the momentum so that we don't have to wait 40 years, so we can do that in 4 or maybe 10 years, but at least do it in a way where we're catching up, and we're catching up quickly rather than always lagging?
Great. I don't think it's going to be 40 years. I really do think the momentum is going to enable us to catch up. So we've mentioned about pipeline. We've spoken about the programs like 10,000 Black Interns and others, which are going to help nurture. That's a forward option of 20 years. So I think from that standpoint, the fact that we're diversifying the pool is certainly going to be a 15, 20-year option. But in terms of the immediate goal, what we are starting to see, I mentioned City Hive and mentioned about the importance of reverse mentoring. So given the dynamics of a lack of ethnic minorities within the financial services sector, how are they going to be representative in certain organisations? So what we have seen is boards and white leaders are in situations where they are engaging with minorities, whether in their organisation or outside other companies, in order to get and understand their lived experiences. So there's a plethora of initiatives. Again, I've mentioned organisations have listened over the last 2 years. They've learnt over the last 2 years. We've got some really smart people. We've got some of the smartest people in the world working in financial services in the United Kingdom. And that's a fact. So we've got the data, we've got the trends, and now it's about action. And we've got actions in terms of the pipeline, we've got actions in terms of the boardroom, and what we need to do is now start driving that cultural awareness that someone like you, Roger, your job is not a threat around diversity. There's going to be immense upside in terms of growth, opportunities by having a diverse workforce at play. So I think I am absolutely confident that the UK financial services industry will catch up and be representative of what makes this country so great, of its diversity.